Most entrepreneurs waste months building something nobody wants. Picture this. You have what feels like $1 million idea. You can see it so clearly in your mind, the perfect solution to a problem you're convinced exists. So you do what most entrepreneurs do. You disappear into your garage, your spare bedroom, or your co-working space, and you start building. You spend weeks designing, months coding. You pour your savings into development, sacrifice your weekends, maybe even quit your job. You refine every detail, perfect every feature, because you want to launch something truly amazing. Finally, after months of blood, sweat, and sleepless nights, you're ready to unveil your creation to the world. And then, nothing. Crickets. No customers, no excitement, no validation that anyone actually wants what you've built. You've just spent months of your life, and possibly thousands of dollars, solving a problem that either doesn't exist or isn't painful enough for people to pay to solve. This scenario isn't rare. It's tragically common. Studies show that 70% of startups fail not because they couldn't build their product, but because they built a product nobody wanted. They fell in love with their solution before they understood the problem. But what if I told you there's a way to avoid this heartbreak entirely? What if you could know with near certainty that people want your product before you invest months building it? What if you could validate your business idea, find your first customers, and even start generating revenue in just 48 hours? That's not fantasy. That's the power of a AI-driven business validation. And in the next 18 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough in entrepreneurship circles: analysis paralysis. That crushing feeling when you have an idea but you don't know if it's worth pursuing. That endless cycle of research, second-guessing, and one more thing to check before you feel ready to move forward. Traditional business validation used to be a nightmare. You'd spend weeks creating surveys that nobody filled out. You'd conduct focus groups with your friends and family, the people least likely to give you honest feedback. You'd analyze market reports that were either too broad to be useful or too expensive to afford. Or worse, you'd skip validation entirely and just hope for the best. You'd tell yourself that your idea was so obviously good that market research was unnecessary. After all, if you wanted this product, surely other people would too, right? Here's the brutal truth. Your friends and family will lie to you. They'll tell you your idea is great because they love you and don't want to crush your dreams. Market reports will give you data about massive addressable markets, but won't tell you if people will actually buy your specific solution. And your own enthusiasm for your idea makes you the least objective judge of its commercial potential. This is why so many entrepreneurs get stuck in the planning phase. They know they should validate their ideas. But traditional validation methods are time-consuming, expensive, and often unreliable. So they either spend forever trying to get perfect validation, or they skip it entirely and hope for the best. But here's what's changed everything. AI has made business validation faster, cheaper, and more accurate than ever before. What used to take months can now be done in days. What used to cost thousands can now be done for free. What used to be guesswork can now be data-driven. The entrepreneurs who understand this, who use AI to validate quickly and iterate rapidly, they're the ones building successful businesses, while others are still stuck in analysis paralysis. I'm about to make you a promise that might sound too good to be true, but I've seen it work dozens of times, and I'm confident it can work for you too. Within 48 hours, one weekend, you can go from having a business idea to knowing whether that idea has real commercial potential. You can identify your target customers, understand their pain points, test demand for your solution, and even start building a customer base before you write a single line of code or create a single product. This isn't about cutting corners or skipping important steps. This is about using AI to accelerate and enhance every part of the validation process. AI can help you research markets faster, identify customer segments more precisely, test messaging more effectively, and analyze results more accurately than traditional methods ever could. But here's what makes this approach so powerful. It's not just faster, it's better. AI can analyze patterns in data that humans would miss. It can identify customer segments you never would have thought of. It can generate testing approaches that are more creative and comprehensive than what most entrepreneurs come up with on their own. The key is following a systematic process that leverages AI's strengths at each step. You're not replacing human judgment with artificial intelligence. You're augmenting your human insights with AI's analytical power and speed. By the end of this weekend validation process, you will have confirmed that a real market exists for your idea, identified your most promising customer segments, understood the specific pain points your solution addresses, tested demand through real market interactions, built an initial customer base eager to buy your product, created marketing messages that resonate with your audience. Most importantly, you'll have confidence. You'll know you're building something people actually want, not just something you think they should want. Step 1. AI-powered market research revolution. Let's dive into the specifics. Step 1 is revolutionizing how you research your market. And AI makes this process both incredibly thorough and surprisingly fast. Traditional market research meant hours of Google searches, reading industry reports, and trying to piece together fragments of information into a coherent picture. You'd spend days just trying to understand basic questions. How big is this market? Who are the major players? What are customers saying about existing solutions? AI changes everything. You can now have intelligent conversations with AI systems that help you explore your market from angles you never would have considered. These systems can analyze vast amounts of data in seconds, identify patterns across multiple sources, and present insights in ways that are immediately actionable. Here's how this works in practice. Let's say you have an idea for a productivity app for remote workers. Instead of spending days researching the productivity software market, you start a conversation with AI. I'm considering building a productivity solution for remote workers. Help me understand this market comprehensively. The AI doesn't just give you generic information about the productivity software market. It helps you explore specific segments, identify gaps in current solutions, understand seasonal trends, analyze competitor positioning, and even predict emerging opportunities. But here's where it gets really powerful. You can ask follow-up questions that dive deeper into specific aspects. What are the biggest complaints people have about current productivity tools? Or which demographic segments are underserved by existing solutions? Or what productivity challenges have emerged specifically since the shift to remote work? Within an hour, you have a more comprehensive understanding of your market than most entrepreneurs achieve in weeks of traditional research. But we're just getting started. The next layer is using AI to analyze real conversations and content from your target market. AI can process thousands of social media posts, forum discussions, product reviews, and customer support tickets to identify patterns in customer language, pain points, and desired solutions. Let me give you a real example. An entrepreneur I know was considering building a meal planning app for busy professionals. Using AI, she analyzed thousands of posts from working parent groups, health and fitness forums, and restaurant review sites. The AI identified specific language patterns that revealed her target customers didn't just want meal planning. They wanted guilt-free convenience that doesn't sacrifice nutrition or budget. That insight became the foundation of her entire business positioning, and it came from AI analysis that took 2 hours instead of weeks of manual research. But market research is just the foundation. The real magic happens when you use these insights to identify and connect with real potential customers. Step 2. Finding customer pain points that hurt enough to pay for. This is where most entrepreneurs go wrong. They identify problems, but they don't dig deep enough to understand whether those problems are painful enough for people to actually pay to solve them. There's a huge difference between a problem people acknowledge and a problem people desperately want to fix. AI helps you bridge this gap by analyzing not just what people say about their problems, but how they behave around those problems. It can identify patterns that reveal the difference between casual complaints and urgent needs. Here's the framework I want you to use. AI can help you map out what I call the paint-to payment pipeline for your target customers. This involves understanding 4 levels of customer pain. Level 1. Awareness pain. They know something isn't ideal, but haven't actively sought solutions. Level 2. Research pain. They're actively looking for solutions and comparing options. Level 3. Purchase pain. They're ready to buy, but struggling to find the right solution. Level 4. Implementation pain. They've tried solutions that didn't work and are desperately seeking alternatives. The customers at level 3 and 4 are your gold mine. These are people who will pay for solutions immediately, become passionate advocates for your product, and provide valuable feedback to help you improve. AI can help you identify these high-intent customers by analyzing their language patterns, behavior signals, and engagement with existing solutions. It can even help you predict which level 1 and 2 customers are most likely to evolve into. Level 3 and 4 customers? Let me share how this works with a specific example. There's an entrepreneur who used AI to analyze conversations in entrepreneurship forums and social media groups. The AI identified a pattern. People frequently complained about time management, but only certain phrases indicated true urgency. When people said, "I need better time management," that was level 1, awareness pain. But when they said things like, "I'm drowning in my to-do list and missing important deadlines," or "I've tried every productivity app and nothing works for my chaotic schedule," that was level 4, implementation pain. The AI helped him identify these high-pain customers and understand their specific language patterns. He then used those insights to create targeted content and outreach messages that spoke directly to their urgent needs rather than their casual interests. Within 48 hours, he had identified 127 potential customers who exhibited level 3 and 4 pain signals. More importantly, he understood exactly how to communicate with them in ways that would resonate immediately. But identifying pain is only half the equation. You also need to test whether people will actually take action to solve that pain. Step 3. Testing real demand before building anything. This is the step that separates successful entrepreneurs from those who build beautiful products that nobody buys. You need to test actual demand, not just theoretical interest. Traditional demand testing was crude and unreliable. You'd create surveys asking people if they would buy your product. They'd say yes, because hypothetical purchases cost nothing. Or you'd build a minimum viable product, which still required significant time and resource investment before you knew if anyone wanted it. AI enables much more sophisticated demand testing that gives you real market signals without requiring you to build anything. You can create compelling presentations of your solution, test different value propositions, and measure genuine behavioral responses rather than stated intentions. Here's how this works in practice. AI can help you create multiple versions of your product concept, different positioning, different features, different target audiences, and test them simultaneously across different channels. Let's say you're validating that productivity app for remote workers. AI can help you create 5 different landing pages, each emphasizing different benefits: time savings, stress reduction, work-life balance, team collaboration, or career advancement. You can then drive small amounts of traffic to each page and see which resonates most strongly with real potential customers. But here's where AI really shines. It can analyze not just what people click on, but how they engage with your content. How long do they spend reading? Which sections do they scroll past quickly? What questions do they ask? Which objections do they raise? This behavioral data tells you much more than traditional surveys ever could. It reveals what people actually care about versus what they think they should care about. I know someone who used this approach to validate a business idea for helping small restaurants optimize their online presence. She created 3 different landing pages, one focused on increasing revenue, one focused on saving time, and one focused on competing with large chains. The revenue-focused page got the most initial clicks, but people spent very little time reading and rarely signed up for more information. The time-saving page had moderate traffic but very high engagement and sign-up rates. The competition-focused page had the lowest traffic but the highest conversion rate to actual sales conversations. Without this testing, she would have built her entire business around the revenue message, because it seemed most obviously appealing. Instead, she discovered that her target customers were most motivated by time savings. With competition anxiety as a secondary but powerful motivator, this insight shaped everything. Her product features, her marketing messages, her pricing strategy, even her customer onboarding process. She discovered it all before building anything more complex than a few landing pages. But testing demand is still just preparation for the real goal: getting your first actual customers. Step 4. The lightning-fast launch strategy. Here's where we separate the dreamers from the entrepreneurs. Everything up to this point has been validation. Now it's time to actually start a business and get your first paying customer. The traditional approach would be to take all your validation insights, disappear for months to build a perfect product, and then launch with great fanfare to the world. That's exactly backward. The AI-powered approach is to launch immediately with the minimum viable solution that addresses your validated pain points. Then use customer feedback and AI analysis to iterate rapidly toward a perfect solution. This doesn't mean launching something broken or incomplete. It means launching something simple but valuable. Something that solves the core problem for your level 3 and 4 pain customers, even if it doesn't have every bell and whistle you envision for the future. AI can help you identify the absolute minimum feature set that would be valuable enough for customers to pay for immediately. It can analyze your validation data to determine which benefits are must-haves versus nice-to-haves. It can even help you prioritize development tasks based on customer impact rather than development complexity. Here's a real example that illustrates this perfectly. An entrepreneur validated an idea for helping freelancers track their time and generate professional invoices. His validation research identified dozens of potential features: project management, expense tracking, client communication, automated follow-ups, financial reporting, tax preparation, and more. Traditional thinking would suggest building all these features into a comprehensive platform before launching. Instead, he used AI to analyze his validation data and customer conversations. The AI identified that 89% of his target customers mentioned two specific pain points: losing track of billable hours and delayed payments due to unprofessional invoices. So he launched with just those two features: simple time tracking and automated invoice generation. No project management, no expense tracking, no fancy dashboards, just two features that solved the most urgent problems for his target customers. He went from idea to first paying customer in 6 days, not because he built fast, but because he launched smart. He focused on delivering immediate value rather than comprehensive functionality. Within his first month, he had 43 paying customers. Their feedback and usage data analyzed through AI showed him exactly which additional features to build next and in what order. He was building a customer-driven product rather than an assumption-driven product. This approach doesn't just get you to market faster, it gets you to the right market faster. Every feature you build is validated by real customer demand rather than theoretical appeal. But launching isn't the end of the process. It's the beginning of a feedback loop that AI can accelerate dramatically. Let me share 3 specific stories of entrepreneurs who used this exact 48-hour validation process to build successful businesses. These aren't hypothetical examples. These are real people who went from idea to paying customers in a single weekend. Sarah was a marketing manager at a tech company who had an idea for helping small businesses create better social media content. On a Friday evening, she started her 48-hour validation challenge. She used AI to research the social media management market and quickly identified that most solutions were either too complex for small businesses or too generic to be effective. The AI analysis revealed a gap. Busy business owners wanted social media content that felt personal and authentic, but didn't require hours of creative work. On Saturday, she dove into online communities where small business owners gathered. Using AI-generated questions and conversation starters, she engaged in dozens of discussions about social media challenges. The pattern was clear. Business owners knew they needed social media presence, but felt paralyzed by the need to be constantly creative and on brand. By Saturday evening, she had created 3 different landing pages testing different approaches: done for you, content creation, content templates and frameworks, and personalized content coaching. She drove traffic to these pages through targeted social media posts and online community engagement. Sunday morning brought surprising results. Content templates page had modest traffic, but very high engagement. The Done For You page had high traffic but low engagement. The coaching page had low traffic, but extremely high conversion to email signups and consultation requests. By Sunday afternoon, she had launched a social media content template club, a monthly subscription service providing small businesses with customizable content templates, posting schedules, and brief video tutorials. Her first customer signed up Sunday evening. By the end of the following week, she had 23 paying subscribers at $47 per month. 6 months later, her template club has over 400 subscribers and generates more income than her corporate job. She's since expanded into workshops, one-on-one coaching, and custom content services. Marcus had a completely different experience, but equally impressive results. He was a software developer who noticed his freelancer friends struggling with client communication and project boundaries. His 48-hour validation process revealed something unexpected. While he initially thought the problem was about project management tools, AI analysis of freelancer forums and groups showed the real pain point was emotional. Freelancers felt powerless in client relationships and didn't know how to communicate boundaries professionally without seeming difficult or losing business. His validation landing page tested freelancer communication scripts and templates, specific language for common difficult conversations like scope changes, payment delays, and unreasonable deadlines. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within 48 hours, he had 67 people sign up for his email list and 12 people asked to pre-order his template collection. He spent the following week creating and packaging 25 communication scripts with context and usage guidance. His first product launch generated $3,400 in sales in 24 hours. Today, he runs a business helping freelancers build better client relationships through improved communication. And it's grown far beyond his original script templates. The third story might be the most interesting because it shows how validation can completely redirect your original idea. Jennifer thought she wanted to build a fitness app for busy moms, but her 48-hour validation process revealed something entirely different. Her AI-powered research showed that busy moms weren't primarily concerned about fitness apps. They were concerned about modeling healthy relationships with food and body image for their daughters. The real pain point wasn't about workout routines or calorie counting. It was about raising confident, body-positive children in a culture obsessed with appearance. This insight completely changed her business direction. Instead of building a fitness app, she created Confident Daughters, a membership community for moms who want to raise daughters with healthy relationships to food, body image, and self-worth. Her validation process included creating content about body-positive parenting, engaging in mom groups with thoughtful questions about raising confident daughters, and testing different approaches to this sensitive topic. The response was incredible. Within 48 hours, she had hundreds of moms engaging with her content, sharing personal stories, and asking for guidance. Her first paying customer enrolled before she even finished building her membership platform. Today, Confident Daughters has over 200 members paying $97 per month. And Jennifer has become a recognized voice in the body-positive parenting space. Notice what all three stories have in common. They used AI not just to validate their original ideas, but to uncover better opportunities they never would have discovered through traditional research methods. Let me pull back the curtain and show you exactly how AI makes this 48-hour validation process possible. Understanding the technology will help you use these tools more effectively and recognize opportunities to apply them in new ways. The first AI capability that revolutionizes business validation is natural language processing. AI can analyze thousands of conversations, reviews, comments, and posts to identify patterns in customer language that humans would never catch. It doesn't just count word frequency. It understands context, emotion, intent, and relationships between concepts. When you feed AI a collection of customer conversations about productivity challenges, it doesn't just tell you that people mention time management frequently. It identifies that people who say, "I can never find enough time," have different needs than people who say, "I waste too much time on unimportant tasks." Those subtle language differences reveal completely different solution requirements. The second game-changing capability is predictive analysis. AI can look at patterns in customer behavior and predict which leads are most likely to convert, which messaging approaches will resonate most strongly, and which product features will drive the most engagement. This means you can test ideas on small samples and get reliable predictions about how they'll perform at scale, instead of needing hundreds or thousands of responses to validate an idea. You can get actionable insights from dozens of high-quality interactions. The third crucial capability is automated content generation and testing. AI can help you create multiple versions of landing pages, email campaigns, social media posts, and marketing messages. Then, analyze the performance of each variation to identify what works best for your specific audience. This isn't just about A/B testing headlines. It's about testing fundamentally different value propositions, messaging approaches, and positioning strategies simultaneously. You can discover in days what used to take months of traditional market testing. But here's what's really exciting. These AI capabilities are becoming more powerful and accessible every month. Tools that were only available to large corporations with massive budgets are now accessible to individual entrepreneurs at low or no cost. The entrepreneurs who learn to leverage these capabilities now will have enormous advantages over those who stick to traditional validation methods. They'll move faster, make better decisions, and build more successful businesses. Even with AI assistance, there are several traps that can derail your 48-hour validation process. Let me help you avoid the most common mistakes so you can maximize your chances of success. The first pitfall is falling in love with AI insights without validating them with real human behavior. AI is incredibly powerful at pattern recognition and analysis, but it's still analyzing past behavior and stated preferences. Real market validation requires testing how people actually behave when faced with buying decisions. Use AI insights to inform your tests, not replace them. If AI tells you that customers are frustrated with existing solutions, don't assume they'll buy your alternative. Test that assumption with real market interactions. The second common mistake is trying to validate too many ideas simultaneously. The 48-hour time frame works because it forces focus. Pick one idea, one target customer segment, one core value proposition. You can validate other ideas later, but trying to do everything at once leads to shallow validation that doesn't provide reliable insights. The third pitfall is mistaking interest for intent. Just because people engage with your content, sign up for your email list, or even tell you they would buy your product, doesn't mean they actually will when the moment comes. Look for behavioral signals that indicate genuine purchase intent, willingness to provide payment information, eagerness to start using the solution immediately, or frustration when told they have to wait. The fourth mistake is over-engineering your validation tests. Simple tests often provide more reliable insights than complex ones. A basic landing page with clear value proposition and email sign-up can tell you more about market demand than an elaborate prototype or detailed survey. Remember, the goal of validation isn't to prove your idea will definitely succeed. It's to gather enough evidence to justify the next step in development. Perfect validation doesn't exist, but sufficient validation absolutely does. Here's something most entrepreneurs don't realize. It's the 48-hour validation process doesn't just tell you whether to pursue your idea. It creates the foundation for everything that comes next. The customer conversations you have during validation become your first sales leads. The content you create for testing becomes your initial marketing materials. The insights you gather about customer language and pain points inform your product development, pricing strategy, and positioning. Most importantly, the validation process builds momentum. Instead of spending months in preparation and planning, you're immediately engaged with real customers solving real problems. You have evidence that people want what you're building, feedback to guide your development, and often your first paying customers before you've finished building your full solution. This momentum is psychological as much as practical. When you know real people are waiting for your solution and willing to pay for it, development becomes energizing rather than overwhelming. You're not building in a vacuum hoping someone will care. You're building for specific people who have already expressed genuine interest. The entrepreneurs who understand this use their validation process as the launch pad for their entire business, not just a checkpoint before the real work begins. They maintain continuous contact with their validation participants, turning them into beta testers, early customers, and even advocates who help spread word about their solution. Your 48-hour action plan. Let me give you a concrete action plan you can start implementing immediately. This isn't theoretical. This is your step-by-step guide to validating a business idea this weekend. Friday evening, 2 to 3 hours. Start with your business idea and use AI to explore the market comprehensively. Ask questions about market size, customer segments, existing solutions, and unmet needs. Don't just accept the first answers. Dig deeper with follow-up questions until you have a nuanced understanding of the opportunity. Identify 3 to 5 online communities where your potential customers gather. These might be social media groups, forums, professional networks, or specialized platforms. Join these communities and spend time understanding the conversations, language patterns, and common frustrations. Saturday morning, 3 to 4 hours, Use AI to analyze the conversations and content you observed Friday evening. Look for patterns in customer language, frequently mentioned pain points, and gaps in existing solutions. Create detailed profiles of your most promising customer segments. Begin engaging in those online communities. Ask thoughtful questions, provide helpful responses, and start conversations that reveal deeper insights about customer needs. Don't pitch anything, just listen and learn. Saturday afternoon, 4 to 5 hours. Based on your research and conversations, create 2 to 3 different landing pages that test different approaches to your solution. Each page should clearly explain a specific value proposition and include an email sign-up for people interested in learning more. Write compelling social media posts and community contributions that drive traffic to your landing pages. Focus on providing value while naturally directing interested people to learn more about your solution. Saturday evening, 2 to 3 hours. Analyze the initial response to your landing pages and community engagement. Which messages resonated most strongly? Which customer segments showed the most interest? Use this data to refine your approach for Sunday. Prepare your minimum viable offering. This might be a simple service, a digital product, or even just a structured consultation. The key is having something valuable you can deliver immediately to interested customers. Sunday, 4 to 6 hours. Launch your minimum viable offering to your most interested prospects. This might be through direct outreach to people who signed up for your email list. Post in the communities where you've been engaging, or targeted messages to people who showed strong interest. Focus on getting your first paying customer. Even if it's just $50 for a consultation or $20 for a simple digital product. That first transaction validates that people will actually pay for your solution. Document everything: customer feedback, questions, objections, suggestions, and requests. This information will guide all your future development decisions. By Sunday evening, you should have definitive evidence about whether your idea has commercial potential. A clear understanding of your target customers. And ideally your first paying customer, or at least committed prospects ready to buy as soon as you're ready to sell. We've covered a lot of ground, but I want you to zoom out and see the bigger picture of what's really happening here. This isn't just about validating business ideas faster. This is about fundamentally changing how entrepreneurship works. For decades, starting a business meant taking enormous risks based on limited information. You invested months or years of work and thousands or tens of thousands of dollars before you knew whether anyone wanted what you were building. AI has changed that equation completely. You can now gather better market intelligence in days than was possible in months using traditional methods. You can test demand with minimal investment and maximum accuracy. You can start generating revenue before you've finished building your solution. But the most profound change isn't technological. It's psychological. When you can validate ideas quickly and cheaply, failure becomes a learning experience rather than a catastrophe. You can afford to test bold ideas, experiment with different approaches, and iterate rapidly based on market feedback. This creates a completely different relationship with entrepreneurship. Instead of needing to bet everything on one perfect idea, you can test many ideas and pursue the ones that show genuine market traction. Instead of spending months in isolation, building, and hoping, you can spend your time in conversation with real customers, solving real problems. The entrepreneurs who embrace this approach, who use AI to validate quickly and iterate constantly, they're building businesses that are more likely to succeed. It's more responsive to market needs and more fulfilling to operate. But here's the thing, this opportunity won't last forever in its current form. As more entrepreneurs discover these AI-powered validation techniques, markets will become more efficient and competitive. The advantages that AI provides today will become table stakes tomorrow. The window for using these techniques to gain significant competitive advantages is open now, but it won't stay open indefinitely. So here we are, at the moment of truth. You now understand how AI can compress months of business validation into 48 hours. You've seen specific examples of entrepreneurs who used this process to build successful businesses. You have a concrete action plan you can start implementing today. But understanding and doing are two very different things. I want you to be honest with yourself about something. How many business ideas have you had in the past year? How many of them are you still thinking about, researching, or getting ready to start someday? How many opportunities have you let pass because you weren't sure if they were worth pursuing? Here's the truth that most entrepreneurship advice won't tell you. The difference between successful entrepreneurs and everyone else isn't having better ideas. It's being willing to test ideas quickly and act on the results. The entrepreneurs who succeed aren't the ones who wait for perfect certainty. They're the ones who gather sufficient evidence and then move forward boldly. They understand that speed and iteration beat perfection and hesitation every single time. This 48-hour validation process gives you something incredibly valuable: the ability to test business ideas without the traditional risks. You can validate or invalidate ideas before you invest significant time, money, or emotional energy in building them. But that opportunity only exists if you actually use it. I challenge you to pick one business idea, just one, and commit to putting it through this 48-hour validation process this weekend, not next weekend, not when you have more time, not when you feel more prepared. This weekend, clear your Saturday and Sunday. Tell your friends and family you're working on something important. Turn off distractions and focus completely on discovering whether your idea has commercial potential. 48 hours from now, you'll have more clarity about your business opportunity than most entrepreneurs achieve in months of traditional planning. You'll know whether to pursue this idea aggressively, modify it based on market feedback, or move on to test something else. Most importantly, you'll have broken through the paralysis that stops most potential entrepreneurs from ever becoming actual entrepreneurs. You'll have proof that you can take an idea from concept to market validation in a single weekend. That capability, the ability to rapidly test and validate opportunities, that's not just a business skill, it's a life skill. It's the difference between dreaming about possibilities and actively exploring them. Validate first, build later. AI makes it fast. Those 7 words contain a philosophy that can transform not just how you approach business, but how you approach opportunity in every area of your life. Traditional thinking says, plan extensively, build carefully, launch perfectly, hope for the best. AI-powered thinking says, test quickly, learn rapidly, iterate constantly, build what people actually want. One approach leads to months of uncertainty, followed by potential disappointment. The other leads to rapid learning, confident decision-making, and businesses built on solid market foundation. You have the knowledge, you have the tools, you have a clear action plan. The only question remaining is, what are you going to do with what you've learned? This weekend could be the weekend you finally stop wondering and start knowing. Stop planning and start validating. Stop hoping and start building based on evidence. Your business idea is waiting. Your potential customers are waiting. Your future success is waiting. But none of that matters if you're not willing to invest 48 hours to find out what's possible. The clock is ticking. It's not because there's artificial urgency, but because every weekend you don't validate an idea as a weekend. Someone else might be validating the same idea. Every day you spend thinking about starting a business is a day you could have spent actually starting one. The entrepreneurs who will dominate the next decade are already using AI to validate ideas, find customers, and build solutions faster than ever before. They're not waiting for permission, perfect timing, or complete certainty. They're validating first, building later. And AI is making it fast. The question isn't whether this approach works. I've shown you that it does. The question isn't whether you're capable of doing it. You absolutely are. The only question that matters is whether you'll choose to start this weekend, or whether you'll still be thinking about starting 6 months from now. What's it going to be?